Sunny Hostin. We got a couple of clips from The View this evening. Sunny Hostin, and then we have a Joy Behar clip. This is just, and Pam Grier, I think, was on The View, so we got a clip of her. Let's start our View segment. Ooh, get ready to hear from the gals. Let's see if they say something that gets the audience clapping and going, woo, like white people suck. So a Sunny Hostin, I guess she's talking about white men. And what could she possibly say? Awesome, fantastic, amazing. Let's see. Sunny?
I think, equality feels much like oppression when you have always had the privilege of being ahead, even if you were mediocre. And I think that's what we're talking about here. White men, as of 2023, were 76% of the workforce, and in all sort of top positions where people of color and women were not.
Could you pause right there? Mm-hmm. Oh, God, what a pause. Yeah, why were white men 73% of the workforce a couple of years ago? I would assume it's pretty similar now. Why? Because of privilege? Because companies go, I'm racist? Hi, this is Anthony Cumia.
Hello, I'm Gavin McInnes.
And together we're Compound Censored.
And we would like you to subscribe with this deal using this promo code right below me right now.
Do it, because it's very entertaining. People of color and women, I just want white men? Or could it be that the most qualified people for these jobs are white men? That they are the ones actively looking for the jobs that they're qualified for? Do you think black people are out en masse searching, pounding the pavement for jobs like that? You think? Why aren't they being hired? Racism? Sexism? Are you out of your minds? They're the qualified people. Employers want the most qualified, the most educated, the smartest, the people that have skills, and the people that will show up for work and be dedicated to their jobs, not have criminal records. There's plenty of reasons besides having to come up with racism that 73% of the workforce were white men. But of course, Sunny Hostin has to make it all about race. That's what it is, oppression. By the way, today, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what I'm going to mention in a little bit. Today was the big liberal protest where liberals and blacks and gays, any oppressed group in this country, were not going to show up for work. They're going to show America what it'll be like if they don't go to work every day. Lights are on. Everything's working. Interesting. Let white men do that one day. Let white men not show up for work one day. We'll get to that story. But let's continue here with Sunny Hostin and why white men are privileged. Oh, do you hear what she said also at the beginning of that clip? That equality seems like oppression when you're used to being above equality. What? Privileged white people are the most equal people for most of history have been white people living in white societies. Everyone's pretty much on the same level. You have your wealthy, you have your poor and everything, but socially, in a society, you're equal as far as your rights go and what have you, your opportunities. And then after the Civil Rights Act in 65, and it's only gotten worse and worse every subsequent year, you've seen white people lose their equality and they're pushed down. Now they're not getting into colleges because of DEI and jobs, even though 73 of the work, but they should be 99% of the workforce. But because of DEI, they're not getting jobs they are more qualified than other people to get. And the people that really don't like equality are minorities, groups that feel that they're being oppressed. They fight for equality. And then the second they get equality, everyone in this country has the same rights and same opportunities. Every single person. I really do believe that. And they can't take it. They don't like that, being equal. They always need to be above equality. That's why there's all these groups that just cater to these minority groups. Black Lives Matter, black universities. Black people could say, we want our own dorm rooms in college. We want our own graduation party. We want a safe space here for only black people. That's above equality. And the second you tell them no, that everyone has to be equal, they get all pissed off and say they're being oppressed. So who are the ones that are used to being above equality? It ain't white people. That's for shit sure. All right, continue.
And so what we're learning, I think, from this interview is that this administration kept on talking about a meritocracy and that things should be merit-based, and they felt that it never was. Now we really know that this attack against diversity, equity, inclusion is based on white male grievance. And the fact that Donald Trump seems to really believe in the concept of reverse discrimination. And the NAACP made it very clear after hearing his comments that, in fact, there is absolutely no evidence, no fact-based evidence that white men have suffered because of the Civil Rights Act.
Oh, who? Who said that again? Oh, the NAACP put out a little statement there saying that white men have never suffered because of the civil rights movement. Imagine taking the word of the racist NAACP, the anti-white, racist, lying NAACP. They said, Nazi Germany said that Jews, can you not be that blatantly obvious? Getting your information from the NAACP about how white people are privileged and haven't suffered any ills because of the civil rights movement. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And, they'd like to tell you that the United States isn't a meritocracy. It's never been merit-based. Never said that. It used to be. It used to be merit-based. Thank God. Imagine building a nation as powerful as the United States of America became in the early years, the first couple of centuries, the first 200 years of America. Imagine trying to build that with diversity, equity, and inclusion, and this reverse racism on white people, keeping them out of certain jobs and education and industries, Could you imagine what America would look like if there was DEI the first 2 centuries? Thank God it was a merit-based, vast majority white country. These were people that had the ingenuity and innovation, the ability to innovate, the spirit, the wisdom, the IQs, the ability to learn and adapt, to go into some of the most savage parts of the country before it was even America. That westward expansion, who was that? Who do you think did that? White people. And they were amazing, strong, smart, resourceful. Imagine if that, and then they're building places, new towns, cities, infrastructure, railroad, dams for water. And every single one of those were white dudes. Imagine DEI. Imagine with some of those Western towns that sprung up and became huge cities today. Imagine them never getting off the ground. The buildings looking like when you take the shuttle from the airport to your resort in Jamaica, and it just stays like that for 100 years. So, yeah, it was a meritocracy. Thank God, a long time ago. Now, not so much, and we see what happens. Our infrastructure falls apart. Big ships bang into bridges. Airplanes land upside down or hit military helicopters hit them. Are these the best people? The NAACP would tell you. NAACP, indeed. Oh, my God. Unbelievable. Okay, let's go to Joy Behar, who appears to be believing the bubble she's in, that Donald Trump, Americans have had it. They have had it with Donald Trump. Now, again, every Trump supporter that I speak to is very pleased with Donald Trump's job so far in his second term as president. I am with them 100% when we talk about things we're not happy with. There are certain aspects of his presidency I'm disappointed in. I want to see the Justice Department doing more when it comes to these asshole protesters, insurgents. I want to see him doing more. Deportations, I like to see him stepped up. More. But, he's doing what he can. I understand that. And we are so much better off than we would be right now under a Kamala Harris presidency. Could you imagine Harris Walls? That's who's in the White House. And what would we be doing right now? What kind of country? Look at Virginia. And that's another story we'll get to. Look at Virginia. A Democrat won the governor's race, and their entire political system is majority Democrat. The Democrats won everything. And they're already making horrific legislation. They're already proposing just terrible liberal/communist policies for Virginia. That's what we'd be going through right now if we had Harris Walls, and God forbid the House and Senate also went Democrat last election. It would be a nightmare. On the heels of the 4 years of Biden, just a nonstop pandemonium. So Joy Behar seems to think that America's had enough of Trump. Meanwhile, I think it was a majority of voters that voted Trump in. He won the popular vote. More people that voted on election day voted for Trump than Harris. And I maybe 3 people have said, well, I don't think I made the right decision. Everyone else is still supporting Trump. Don't let him fool you. So let's hear Joy Behar and her take on how upset people are with Donald Trump, his supporters.
See, I think that this is the end of it now for him. It has to be. And Americans need to step up now. It's not enough to go into the streets. It's not enough to vote. I believe that people need to start calling their congressmen and their senators. I mean, he has eroded civil rights at this point.
Yes.
How?
He's erasing history.
Yes.
How?
He's wrecking the economy. It's going to be decades before we get back to where we're supposed to.
So civil rights, who's running into churches? Who's stomping on those worshipers' civil rights? The left, people that are embraced by Tim Walz and Kamala Harris and all these other Democrats and liberals. What is Trump doing to stomp on people's civil rights? Getting illegals out of the country? Deporting people that do not belong here, that are here illegally? That has been the policy of this country. You wouldn't know it based on people that were running the Biden administration, but it's illegal to come here. And they came here. Now Trump's trying to get them out. And somehow that's stomping on illegal aliens' civil rights. And then any other supposedly marginalized group in this country. What has he done to stomp on black people's civil rights, gays' civil rights? How is he infringing on that? Give me an example. You can't just say it. The economy? We were in full-fledged recession under Biden. The word depression was making the rounds with the economists during the Biden administration. Fuel prices came way down, and the price of everything comes down. Is it down to where we want to see it? No. Can Trump do more? I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the president could do to lower prices, aside from lowering energy costs, which he has done. He has done that. Gas prices, fuel prices, heating prices are lower than they were under Biden. But I mean, as far as getting cereal prices down, what does that have to go to the farmers? And I don't know. Quite honestly, I don't know. But I do know that prices are lower than they were under Biden. And if you remember what all these idiots were saying under Biden, it was price gouging. Remember, anytime Kamala Harris was asked about the recession and why the food prices in grocery stores are unaffordable to people, and she would be like, it's the price gouging of the supermarket. She would start that, which was just a blatant lie. After she lost the election, we never heard about this price gouging thing that supermarkets were running, this scheme. All the supermarkets got together with each other and said, let's just jack the price up for no reason. And that was her answer. How will you lower prices? Oh, well, we're going to go after the price gougers. Donald Trump says, oh, everything runs on energy, oil. Let's drill more. Let's refine more. Let's take oil from Venezuela. Whatever he did, energy prices are down. Price of everything comes down. But, Joy, she don't believe that. And what was the other one? There was a third one. Rewind it a minute. There was a third thing.
He's erasing history.
Yes.
Thank you. Pause. Erasing history? Who's still, to this day, actively removing statues commemorating history? Who's doing that? How is he erasing history? What? Because he doesn't want the federal government to fund things like African studies, which is a racist, anti-white program and curriculum? Why should the government fund that? He's erasing history for local. By the way, Trump doesn't even make these decisions. Local schools, especially down in Florida, school districts saying, we don't want books that show gay guys blowing each other in our fifth grade library. Somehow that's erasing history or infringing on the LGBTQ flags. Erasing history. While just recently they pulled another statue out of the Capitol. Try to find a statue in a major city of Robert E. Lee. That was history erased. Go to the New York Museum of Natural History. Try to find a statue of Teddy Roosevelt that stood on the front steps of the Museum of Natural History for 100 years. Try to find that. They erased it. They took it away, put it where it couldn't be seen, and they'll melt it down and make some fat black statue and plop it right back on the stairs of the American Museum of Natural History. They should put it in the cave woman section, if you ask me. So before she even finishes her thought, she's already full of Joy.
He's wrecking the economy. It's going to be decades before we get back to where we're supposed to be. And he's alienating us from our friends in NATO.
Yeah.
And all because he's not
pause
getting...
that. Alienating us from our friends in NATO. Imagine you had friends, right? And every week you'd go out to dinner with your friends. And the friends have money. They all have money. I think you see where I'm going here. And every week you have to pay 90% of the bill. And all the friends chip in for the 10%. They all put in a little bit, each of them, to make up the 10% of the bill. How long would this go on before you would say, I don't think these are my friends. I think they're using me. I think they used me to protect us from the Soviet Union. And look, the United States had a vested interest back then. During the Cold War, it would have been very detrimental if the Soviet Union had invaded those NATO countries. If there was no NATO, or if we had just said we're not paying, we're not going to pay this unbelievable, disproportionate amount of money to keep NATO going, and the Soviet Union takes over Europe, and now we're... So we had an interest, a self-defense, protecting the United States' interest in protecting Europe by paying this unbelievable amount of money to NATO after the Cold War. Right then and there, NATO should have been dissolved. Who gives a anymore? But at the very least, we should have stopped paying the vast majority of money to keep NATO going. And when Trump got into office, he looked at these f***ers and said, hey, pay. You got to pay your fair share now. You want to hear fair share? They always say that about us and our taxes. How about NATO nations pay their fair share and we stop footing the entire bill. And Joy sees that as making enemies of our friends in NATO. This and her gaggle of don't know anything about what's really going on in this world. Nothing. Nothing. All right.
His award.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the shrinks call that a narcissistic injury.
Yes.
And that is what will get
Your
us
shrink.
into World War III because his ego is involved. And the only thing that Americans can do, including us, I mean, we have a forum here and we speak out. People out there have no way of dealing with this. That's why they come in here and love us so much lately.
Well, he put that.
But get out.
Who comes in to love you?
I would
The
just say,
bootlicking liberals.
Get on the phone, leave a message, look up who these people are in your area, and say, it's time to do something about this guy because he's leading us into World War III.
World War III? Where's that happening? Where? Could you please tell me where World War III is? A military operation in Venezuela to arrest the president of Venezuela, who is an indicted drug kingpin. Now, if you believe that or not, I don't know. And I don't know. Is he a drug kingpin? I have no idea. But the Trump administration went through all the hoops. They got an indictment. They did all the things they would have to do if this guy was a drug kingpin. And then they went in and grabbed him up and arrested him and got out. And they go, oh, World War III. Did they say anything when Obama was bombing the shit out of the Middle East and having these little incursions in Syria and Lebanon? Was any of this the beginning of World War III? Anything Trump does has to be the worst thing that was ever done by any president ever. That's their line. They got to stick to it, no matter how stupid they look, saying that he's the worst guy ever and this is the worst thing that's ever happened to us as a country and the worst foreign policy and the worst this ever. They have to stick on that line and recite it like a mantra, no matter how stupid they look to the people that have a bit of knowledge about what's actually going on in the world. It's stunning. Stunning. Pam Grier, you might know her. She was the star of the Quentin Tarantino movie Jackie Brown. Black woman. She used to be in those blaxploitation flicks in the 70s. Actress. She hasn't been seen a lot of late. And these days, she's looking more like Rosie Grier than Pam Grier. And she was on The View. So if you enjoyed that clip,
Then subscribe to Compound Censored using this promo code.